What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I have another discussion video. This time I wanted to go a little more in depth on the new PrankKid card revealed. We also got the Nephthys card, but I think this card in particular is going to have insane meta implications. Pretty much like the discussion of this video is going to, the base of this video is, I guess, just going to be, will PrankKids be like legit? Like, people are already talking. Like, is PrankKids going to be like pushing tier 1 like legit competitive play after Phantom Rage just with this one card? And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at like how strong some of the plays the deck can make are just off of like such minimal resource investment. And I'm thinking like actually maybe this deck is no joke. If you would ask me, I said this in the video, the reaction video, the whatever, the news video, and I said, if you could have been asking me for a year and you could say, give PrankKids one card, I said, LINK-1. Done. Discussion's over. Doesn't matter. Give them a LINK-1 and they're busted. Like, actually. They do, like, insane stuff. And it's not just that, but they also gave it with an effect. Like, you could have given a LINK-1 with no effect. Could have been vanilla. And it would have been, like, insane for the deck. And it still is. But it's even better now. Because now you can like double Raigeki or double Heavy Storm on your opponent's turn. It's insane. So real quick, we might as well read this just so you know. This is the new card. It's PrankKids Meow Meow. I love the artwork. Phenomenal stuff there. As far as the effects, so it just takes any level 4 or lower PrankKid monster. So it takes any of the main deck PrankKids. You can only link summon it once per turn. That's also a good clause for this card as well. So it's not fully degenerate. If a PrankKids monster you control would tribute itself to activate its effect during your opponent's turn, so only if they're doing it during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead. So it's a replacement effect, kind of like Balinks, replacing like a Salamangreat from being destroyed. So pretty much why that's so good, and something that like I didn't even mention before, was because our big disruptive guys, either our Battle Butler, which has a quick effect to tribute himself to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, as well as our Rip Roaring Roaster, which contribute itself to destroy all spell and traps our opponent controls, are both very strong. But here's the thing, they're not once per turn. So if on the first time you attempt to use Battle Butler to destroy your opponent's monsters, you banish the Meow Meow, you like wipe their board, but you don't lose the Battle Butler. And because that effect's not once per turn, he can literally just do it again. So you have a double Raigeki or a double Heavy Storm. Either way, like, how do you... It's so good, man. I don't know. Like, that to me is crazy. And like, you can set that up off one normal summon. One normal summon. It's all it takes. It's so strong. So incredibly strong. But yeah, so this is like another thing I wanted to talk about here was specifically like this list. This is just like a super early, non-tested like list for PrankKids, like potentially post Phantom Rage. But I wanted to show you like one of the huge things that changes with this deck, and there's like a trickle down effect, right? Like it doesn't just help the deck in terms of like the kind of hands you can open and still be able to play, but like because the deck can play without having to open these specific hands. And if you don't know, this deck kind of used to play, or I guess still does until Phantom Rage, plays like Shaddolls, where like you have to open a Shaddol fusion spell, or maybe not even a Shaddol, but just a fusion spell, or Shaddolls really don't get their stuff going very well. They have to find their way into a fusion spell, and if they don't, you probably just lose the duel. This deck was very, very similar to that. It was either like find a fusion spell so you can get your PrankKids like rolling, or you really just can't do a combo just off your normal summon. And with this new card allowing one normal summon essentially to get you a legit like solid setup for your opponent's turn, it changes not just like how the deck plays, the kinds of hands you need to open, but the trickle down is that like you can build the deck with so much more versatility now. In that moment when that was how the deck had to be built, was with keeping in mind that like if I don't open 2 PrankKids and a fusion spell, I'm really going to be in some trouble. So you see people playing stuff like Planet Pathfinder, which was a card that either got you to your PrankKid's place to get you a PrankKid, or to a Fusion Recycling Plant, which could discard a card to get you Polymerization. So either way, it was either a PrankKid or a Fusion Spell. Really nice before in the deck, but now it's unnecessary. I'd rather be like normal summoning a PrankKid now, not normal summoning a Pathfinder and tributing it off. So really cool card before. Same thing with like King of the Swamp, just discard to add a poly, and technically it could be one of the materials used for Butler, but not these two because they're not I believe specific names listed. So pretty cool card there, but mainly Pathfinder was the number one there. You also saw like invoked variants, just because Alistair, if in a deck where you're not really using your normal summon, Alistair just got you to invocation, which essentially is the same thing as polymerization in this deck. So that was a thing. I remember seeing like some hero variants that were like kind of cool. I don't know if they played Blazeman exactly. I don't think they did, but he does search polymerization, so I just threw him in there. But there were other hero cards. I think they played like Prisma and like Hero Lives. When Hero Lives, I think, was at 3, so like it was a good extender. Didn't even use your normal, but it got you, you know, some stuff. As well as a Thunder Dragon build, just because of PrankKids Fansies being a Thunder monster. So pretty cool. There were a bunch of other variants, but now it's just like unnecessary. And this is one of the things that you can do now, is the deck was never really able to play like a legit control version, because you just weren't able to play like other generic cards that just helped you with like control type stuff. Now look at this, because any normal summon of a Prank Kid can essentially be a combo, a legit setup to double Raigeki your opponent on their turn. We don't need to play all these subsequent like fusion spell searchers and consistency cards. You don't even need desires if you don't want to. If you're worried about grinding and you don't want to like banish like 6 or 7 copies of your Prank Kids, like you don't even have to play desires if you don't want to. I think it's still probably good. I didn't put it in this one, but it's something I might have missed. And in fact, this might even be more hand traps than you really like might want to. But this was just as an example, a rough draft, if you will. And that's the thing, is like before, if you saw somebody playing Prank Kids and they played like 3 Ash, 3 Impermanence, you might have looked at them and said like, okay, like I get it, like going second can be tough. You can play through 1 disruption, but like 2 is like kind of tough, and it's hard to disrupt this deck sometimes just because they have like quick effect tribute effects and stuff like that. But the trouble was, like, because of the way you had to build the deck to open those specific hands, you couldn't afford to play stuff like this. And now you just can, because like any Prank Kid gets you your combo. Now you can just play like 10 hand traps if you wanted. You don't need to play an invoked engine with 7 to 9 cards in it. You don't need to play Pathfinder as an additional normal summon that just gets you what you're looking for. Like, you don't need any of that stuff. And you also don't even need pranks anymore. Some people played pranks as an extender. I don't even know if you need it. Maybe, like, I actually think the recursion effect of this card is better than the like token effect of this card now, just because of the Link-1. It kind of made it like obsolete in that regard. So it's kind of crazy. Like, the deck changes so much. Like, I still have polys in here, honestly, just because like one thing I will say is like, if you didn't open the field spell to like chain block the oh, actually, you can't even chain block that because not on Link summon. To chain block like one of your fusion summons, it can be like annoying to get ashed on your first Link off. You just go normal summon Link off and they ash you on that. It actually can be pretty tough, but all you need at that point is any other Prank Kid in hand and a fusion spell. So it's kind of the same. Except that hand, that combo that before was just your standard combo, now you have an automatic bait, because anybody with an Ash is going to have to say, I kind of have to throw this Ash at this, because if I stop this right now, it means like if they didn't open the right stuff, then like they can't play through this. But we still can play 3 Pandemonium, maybe 2, even if you want to get like crazy, 3 copies of Polymerization still, just to play through stuff, and like a recycling plant with terraforming, like consistency, right? To just see those fusion spells, and you're probably going to see 2 Prank Kids in most hands. And then you can just like, now that was your standard play, but now it's like it allows you to play through a disruption at this point. That's also why I'm playing Called, though, is just because getting ashed on that, if you don't have the fusions or the like recycling plant or something with a Prank Kid to follow up after getting ashed on that, it can like just literally mean pass. So I like Called by the Grave there. It's just a good mid-range version, or mid-range card for like a deck that I'm trying to build a more mid-range version for. Before it was like combo, combo, combo. Now it's like you could play this mid-range version with hand traps and calls and all this other stuff. So I really think that's cool. And if you wanted, you could even play a trap variant of this deck. I mean, like, I don't recommend it because I think hand traps are probably just like better at the moment, just because there's a ton of combo out there, so you're really just trying not to get comboed in your face. But yeah, there's just like so many things here that are like crazy, and like space for the extra deck gets a little tighter for sure with Meow Meow, because you kind of have to play 2 copies of it. I think you absolutely need 2 Dodos. You probably need 2 Bow Wows. You need at least 1 Rip Roar and Roaster. I think Boral Sword is an absolutely necessary card, just for the sole fact that like your goal is like stop, like double Raigeki your opponent and then kill them. that's like the idea of this deck, and sometimes you won't be able to kill them, and that's fine. But like if you can, like I want Boral Sword over Excess Code because Boral Sword is better at pumping out damage than Excess Code, just not always better at like wiping a board entirely. But this deck handles that on its own, so that's not like my biggest concern. Rocket Ride probably a 2 of. Washer is one that's like arguably like you could play 1 of it, but I feel like in weird grindy games you can end up going into 2 of this for sure. And then the only other one that's like kind of weird that you might think is like 2 Battle Butler. But thinking about it this way is like if you're playing against a deck that's like really doesn't care that much about the Raigeki, you may need a second Battle Butler in certain games. And so the idea there is that like, okay, you turn 1, you go like Battle Butler, you double Raigeki them, but now you don't have the Battle Butler anymore. It's in your grave. And if you're not playing like pranks or anything to shuffle him back potentially, how are you even going to reset him to be able to establish that again? Other than that, like how are you even going to use PrankKids as an engine to set up disruption? I guess you could still potentially make Toad, which is actually still pretty good, but I don't know. If you want, you could still be able to make a Battle Butler or something. Maybe they open like a really nuts hand, or maybe you stopped them turn 1, but they had hand traps, so they kept you from killing them on the following turn, and you needed to like reestablish something so that they weren't going to make a good pushback on you yet again. So I think two of this might be actually necessary. And then the Toad, just like Dropsies being a level 2 Aqua is pretty cool, and the deck's so good at like so easily getting those out if you want to. There are actually specific hands where you can play through Nibiru, which is really awesome. But yeah, I mean, like, I just wanted to have a discussion about this deck, and I I got a little bit off track. I got a little rambly because there's so much to talk about with this deck because so much changes. But yes, I do think this deck has legitimate meta implications. I'm not saying it's guaranteed going to be a tier 1 deck, but god damn it, this deck really doesn't care about like Valor / Impermanence nearly as much as people will hope it does. Any kind of removal, removal can be really tricky with this deck because so many of its cards just like tribute for cost, and so you're just like target to destroy, and they're just like, I'm out, and they just dodge stuff. So it's really annoying for people to try and like go after them like that. So and now the deck can play hand traps. It can play a mid-range game legitimately, like with just plays that are such small investment but get you so much so far in terms of like the your board position in the duel. So I think because of those reasons, I think it definitely has potential meta like implications here. Like not just like, oh, tier 2, maybe it'll get a top here and there. I think it could legit be a tier 1 deck. I'm not saying that guaranteed, but I do think it's like a legit scary deck going forward from Phantom Rage, and I hope you guys agree. I think you'll agree, especially once you see like people like putting out like actual duel videos and stuff. It'll be insane. So those are my thoughts on PrankKids, the new card, Meow Meow, and how the deck performs with the new card. This is like almost as perfect as a 1 card support this deck could have gotten, and I think Konami nailed it. I'm proud of Konami on this one because we always see decks get a new card and you're like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good card, and then it's like not as impactful as you hope. This is like the single most impactful 1 card they could have given to PrankKids, in my opinion. Like obviously the effect of Meow Meow could have been like actually insane, but like they didn't need to be insane, and so I think they just nailed it absolutely. So guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think I'm overhyping PrankKids? Do you think I'm raising them up just for them to disappoint us? Are they not as good as I think? Are they better than I'm giving credit for? I mean, I'm saying like they might be tier 1. Are you like they're gonna be tier 1? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussion videos like this one from me in the future. And I'll see you in the next one. Blah, blah, blah. I'm an idiot.